investigating every possibility, looking at every possible piece of evidence, and keeping that open mind to make sure that we don't miss anything.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Evans. We begin with breaking news after 5 people, 2 parents and 3 children, were found dead inside a house this afternoon. A teen boy has also been hospitalized with an apparent gunshot wound. This is near 3700 South Oxford Way in West Valley City. Police have the neighborhood blocked off as they search the house for clues about what happened. They believe this is isolated to just one family, but say it's a dynamic crime scene and there is still a lot to process tonight.
This is far beyond anything routine. We were just taking a look at the numbers today of homicides that have happened in this city, and there were 4 in this city for the entire year of 2024. So this more than doubles that number.
Family First called police yesterday. Yes, officers did not see anything suspicious at the house at the time, but when the woman who lives there didn't show up for work today, they went back and found the bodies of a man and woman, their 11-year-old son, 9 and 2-year-old daughters. Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold joins us live now after speaking with neighbors in that neighborhood. Chris.
Well, yeah, Bob, here along this street, it has been pretty quiet tonight. Not many residents have been outside. The residents that have been outside that I spoke with earlier tonight really just trying to process what they've heard, and not only that, but what they've been seeing here behind me as police have been working to figure out exactly what took place here. Now, one of the residents I spoke with is Michael Webster. Now, Webster has lived in his home just near this house since 1973, and he told me he would see the family outside backing out of their driveway once in a while, but that he never spoke to them. He added that he believes the family has lived in that home for about 3 or 4 years, mainly keeping to themselves throughout that time. Now, Webster says in his more than 50 years living here, the neighborhood has mostly been a quiet place, which is why he says he is shocked to see an incident like this where 2 adults and 3 children were found dead inside their home.
That's the kind of things you see on LA News or something like that, but to happen here, but I guess it can happen anywhere. That is such a tragedy. First off, I don't know how anybody could do anything like that. That's just a shame.
Again, police are out here right now investigating. They did say they don't believe there is a suspect on the loose in this case and that this was an isolated incident at that home. Now, here in the last hour, West Valley City Police said they had obtained a search warrant for this home and have been inside to begin their investigation. Officers have also been out here tonight canvassing the neighborhood, gathering any information and any video evidence that may be available. I've also been speaking with other residents out here tonight. You'll hear from one of them coming up a little later tonight on Fox 13 News at 9. But for now, live here in West Valley City, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Chris, thank you. We'll check back in with you in a little while. We have seen similar cases of family murder in Utah in recent years. Back in September, a mother and 3 children in the Ibarra family were found dead in a car outside a house in West Haven. The Weber County Sheriff's Office determined it was a murder-suicide, with the mother, 32-year-old Maribel Ibarra, pulling the trigger on her children. No motive was given. On January 4th, 2022, a family of 8 was found dead in their home in Enoch in a murder-suicide. Tasha Haight and her mother and Tasha's 5 children were killed by 42-year-old Michael Haight, who then turned the gun on himself. 2 weeks before the murders, Tasha had started divorce proceedings. The Haney family murders in Grantsville happened on January 17th, 2020. A mother and her 3 children were shot to death by 16-year-old C.J. Haney. His father survived the shooting. C.J. was reportedly angry with his father because of conflicts over school and church attendance, as well as being restricted from hanging out with friends or playing video games. C.J. Haney received 5 sentences of 25 years to life. to be served consecutively. And on September 27, 2014, the Strack family of Springville was found dead in their home. Benjamin and Christy Strack took their 3 children's lives before taking their own lives by ingesting a lethal dose of drugs. They did not leave a suicide note, but police said at the time the couple was afraid of the apocalypse and often spoke about leaving the world, quote unquote. When these tragic incidents happen, it affects everyone left behind, from law enforcement to extended family, friends, and neighbors. This evening, I spoke with Utah County Sheriff's Office victim advocate Christiana Wagstaff, who is called out on what they call high lethality domestic violence cases. She says violence occurs when the perpetrator feels like they have lost power and control over their victim. She says prevention comes down to education.
The majority of people that we do work with, such as victims, they don't realize they're even in an abusive marriage or relationship. They will realize it's unhealthy or toxic, but they don't understand the lethality effects that can occur. And that's why things like the power control wheel and the cycle of violence that are out there and accessible to anyone, we have them look that over, and before you know it, they're highlighting all of these different areas that they did not realize was that power and control. And so I feel education, I think that is the first step.
The next thing Wagstaff mentioned was how we care about each other. She says the conversation among policymakers about how to strategically deal with domestic violence hasn't even started. And she says the problem is only getting worse, and victim resources are woefully inadequate around the state. Wagstaff says it has to be addressed by the legislature and hopes state lawmakers will respond by providing additional funding and programs to help victims. We will continue to stay on top of the West Valley City investigation. We'll pass along any updates on air. And we will have an update coming up here on Fox 13 News at 9 in just a few moments. Again, from Chris Arnold out on scene. Also, keep track of what's going on our website at fox13now.com. The Utah Highway Patrol says a woman caused a crash on I-15 in Lehi this morning, then pulled a U-turn going the wrong way on the freeway to escape before crashing again. The second crash caused her car to burst into flames near Pioneer Crossing. Troopers say 3 people were hurt, 5 cars were damaged. One Salt Lake City trucking company is sounding the alarm after experiencing a handful of unsafe drivers recently. Godfrey Trucking tells Fox 13 News reporter Avery Klanowski people need to stop driving distracted and be more patient on the road.
Oh, what do I see? There's a lot out there that I see. We see a lot of aggressive driving.
Tim Booth Jr. has been in the truck business for more than 30 years.
Road rage incidents that go on quite a bit. A lot of accidents that happen from people not paying attention. The biggest thing we see is distracted driving.
As he's driving, more often than not, he comes across motorists who are not aware of how to drive around semi-trucks.
You know, we got an 80,000-pound killing machine that we're driving down the road. It does a lot of damage really fast.
Safety Director John Mullins says more space is necessary while driving near 18-wheelers.
Or not having enough room, they're afraid that they're going to take somebody's life because they couldn't stop on time. 60 miles an hour, let's see, what is it? 65 miles an hour takes 523 feet to come to a complete stop at 65 miles an hour, which is, 10 yards shy of 2 football fields.
Showing us the road rage semi-truck drivers have recently dealt with.
They're antagonizing our driver. So our driver's like, nope, you're not getting in front of me, finds an opening, comes over here.
Reminding people that these operators make a huge impact.
We've got your food. We've got your kids' clothes, we've got baby formula. It doesn't matter what it is, we haul it. And our goal is to get it to the store so that you're not traveling hundreds and hundreds of miles to get exactly what you need.
Bringing the gifts that have been added to Christmas lists.
If you want your Amazon packages on time, give our semi trucks some room so this way you can get your holiday gifts on time too. They're the ones putting in the miles so you don't have to. So we should really appreciate that.
So next time you're driving, remember how serious it is to be patient and have distractions put away.
They need to slow down. They need to give us our space. We'll give them our space. Just because there's a car length in front of us or behind us doesn't mean that's a space for you to come into, because we need that to stop, or we need it to make sure that we can slow down in time.
Asking people to be cautious behind the wheel so everyone can get home to their families.
Let's all just be safe and take care of each other out there, because that's all it's about.
In West Valley City, Avery Klanowski, Fox 13 News, Utah.
You notice how those roads in Avery's story were all dry. We haven't had any precipitation since the snowfall.
Yeah, not really much at all. There was a little bit of just some light flurries this morning, but it's not much doing, and there's not much on the way. Sad, but true. Sunset tonight, though, sure was pretty. We had some high clouds, and that made for really nice colors in the sky. Great picture from southern Utah down by Monticello. Nice shot there. And the Oquirrh Mountain camera tonight, really pretty night. We've got mostly clear skies currently, temperature of 39 degrees. It's 38 in Ogden and 35 in Provo. So shaping up to be a nice night. There's a little bit of high cloud cover, but not as much clouds as last night. So it should cool off a little bit. This morning it was pretty warm. It was actually about 36 degrees if you went out there, but it should be a little cooler than that. Air quality for the next couple of days is still pretty good. And then as we get into the end of the week, it's going to deteriorate again with the increased haze and inversion layers setting up, and we should start to mix out the air again with our next storm on Sunday, but there's not a lot of active weather really in about the next week or so. So temperature here 39 degrees here in Salt Lake City. It's 35 in Provo, and overnight we'll be in the 20s. We'll take a closer look at the forecast and tell you when the next chance is for anything to happen out of the sky.
Dina, thank you so much. We're now hearing from Sugar House Pub, which was shut down after nearly 200 minors were caught drinking there. The bar says it IDs every customer using a state-approved scanning device. A statement provided by the pub's lawyer says, "We would like to take this opportunity to make other bar owners aware of how sophisticated fake IDs have become, how easily they are obtained by minors, and to encourage everyone to be more vigilant." The bar says it is working with the DABS. Accused rapist Nicholas Rossi is closer to potentially accepting a plea bargain from the state of Utah. Both the prosecution and defense told a Provo judge today Rossi will make his decision on January 7th. If Rossi does not accept a plea deal, a trial will be scheduled for late September of next year. We're learning a Salt Lake music community legend has passed away. Our content partners at the Salt Lake Tribune report Randy Stinson, the founder of Randy's Record Shop, died of natural causes on Saturday. He was 83. Fox 13 News featured Randy's Record Shop in a Uniquely Utah segment back in 2012. He opened it in 1978 and ran it for 4 decades before retiring in 2018 when his son Sam took over. The Stinson family is planning a celebration of Randy's life in January. Coming up, we'll take you to a groundbreaking for one of the biggest projects northern Utah will see. How it's set to give the Point of the Mountain a huge facelift. And our 12 nights of holiday cheer coverage continues. We'll take you inside Utah's oldest candy company. We'll be right back. Today, Utah Governor Spencer Cox and other political leaders were in Bluffdale for the groundbreaking of Phase 1 of The Point, the next big development project in the state. The site of the former state prison at Point of the Mountain is being re-envisioned as a tech hub feeding into Silicon Slopes in Utah County. It'll have office space, housing, retail and entertainment, a front-runner stop, and trails linking to the Jordan River. Nearby communities also expect to see benefits.
This is an area that's a catalyst for additional growth and economic prosperity for the state of Utah that I think is synergistic with what we're doing directly in South Jordan.
Phase 1 is expected to be completed in 2026. Lawmakers and state planners talk about the point as a historic development, but is it as big as a deal as they say? Fox 13 News anchor Max Roth takes a look.
Leaders of the Point development say in the text beneath this artist's rendering, the plan outlines a clearly articulated and carefully considered approach for what is arguably the most important economic opportunity in Utah history. That's a big assertion, especially as another development about 6 miles away continues to be the epicenter of residential development, at least in Salt Lake County. We're talking about Daybreak in South Jordan. For perspective, Salt Lake's Liberty Park covers about 80 acres. Daybreak spreads out over 4,000 acres. The Point will fill 600 acres. When Daybreak was only a concept, South Jordan was one of the smaller cities in Salt Lake County, with about 30,000 residents. Now, South Jordan has about 85,000 residents. An estimated 1 in 6 new homes in the Salt Lake Valley is built at Daybreak. They have a dedicated TRAX line, and they're still developing a downtown, now anchored by the Salt Lake Bees baseball team. So what would argue for the Point as the more important economic development? Well, its location. Where Daybreak filled a less populated corner of the Salt Lake Valley, the Point sits at the choke point between Utah's two biggest population centers, Salt Lake and Utah counties. It could become the nerve center for Utah's Silicon Slopes. And if done well, it could create a hub that helps people move through Utah's most congested corridor. That's a big if, because if the Point does not dramatically expand transit and draw employers whose employees live in the development, it would contribute the last thing the Point of the Mountain area needs, a new source of congestion. In Salt Lake City, Max Roth, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Tonight, we continue our 12 nights of holiday cheer on Fox 13 News with a company that's been offering holiday sweet treats for more than 200 years. 200 years, is that right? We'll find out. Fox 13 News reporter Spencer Joseph stopped by the startup candy company in American Fork to get an inside look at how they make one of their holiday classics.
There are a few things more satisfying than a sweet treat during the holidays.
We're busy all year, but especially during the holidays.
And for that, look no further than the Startup Candy Company.
We are the oldest candy company in Utah. I'm Ashley Frost, and I am with Startup Candy Company.
And with a last name like Frost, you can't help but love the holidays.
Yes. Christmas is my jam.
Ashley is a part of a company that dates back all the way to 1823. And you might be thinking, startup? That doesn't make sense. But the name comes from a long line of the startup family. And they've been making a very special type of candy every holiday season.
Clear toy candy is one of the oldest candy traditions in the United States. In the late 1800s or early 1900s, and even in the Great Depression, it doubled as a toy and a candy for kids.
And it's all thanks to William Startup, the company's founder, that it's here.
He found clear toy candy molds in Philadelphia, and he brought them to Utah. And it was perfect because Utah is the ideal climate for candy making.
Did you know there was a climate for candy making? I learned that too.
Below 45 degrees outside, preferably, and very dry.
Sounds exactly like Utah. And speaking of making candy, it's a sight to see.
So we have to boil it to the right temperature. They pour the candies in the molds. The same molds that William brought over 150 years ago. The candy cools to the right temperature. They take them out of the molds really carefully and gently.
With lions and bears and horses and elephants, one can't help to say, oh my. But there's one mold that people tend to find the most amazing.
My favorite is the ship, but it's also the most fragile.
Being one of the few places in the world that still makes clear toy candies, today's wish list for Christmas might have changed, but it's a tradition this place has kept alive.
To keep celebrating them and to keep some of that old magic of Christmas alive.
Seeing repeat customers year after year.
I think it's safe to say that they look like children in a candy shop no matter their age.
That is unless you're a humbug. But don't worry, they've got a flavor for that too. Spencer Joseph,
There's a personal touch there that you don't get with other places.
Fox 13 News, Utah.
The humbug.
I love
I
it.
wonder what that tastes like.
I don't know. What's your favorite candy?
I love the raspberry hard candies. You can just suck on that in the back of your mouth.
Yep.
I'm salivating just thinking of it. and now I get it. I just asked Spencer. They started in Pennsylvania in 1823, and they came out here with the pioneers. She said that in the story.
Yes, since Utah isn't quite that old
It just
of a state.
took me by surprise a little bit.
Yeah, what a neat story. And
Really cool, huh?
It's really cool. All those special candy molds and the shapes. That's just really interesting. Well, all right, as we get closer to the holidays, here is a nice shot outside for you. Looks a lot like the holidays out there with all the different color lights up here, with a picture taken by a drone earlier today. Wow, what a nice shot out there. Temperatures now, it's still pretty mild, 39 degrees with fair skies. We did have cloud cover this morning, so it actually wasn't that cold. But tomorrow morning on Wednesday, our temperatures will dip down into the upper 20s. We do have high pressure coming back in, and unfortunately that does mean mild temperatures, but the haze returns. And the other thing that's just kind of annoying with the high pressure, you don't really get any active weather. So all of us that are just hoping to get more snow and precipitation, it just doesn't look like much going on. There's a chance for a storm on Christmas Day. Right now it does not look terribly strong, but of course we'll keep you up to date on that. That's about a week away. We do have above average temperatures in the forecast, about 10 to 15 degrees above normal for the next week, really. 39 degrees here in Salt Lake City. It's 35 now in Provo and 43 in St. George, turning out to be a nice night. Now overnight we'll have mostly clear skies, and our temperatures tonight get down to about 29 degrees, so a little bit cooler than it was. This morning it was down at 36. It was actually pretty mild out there, and today's high was 51. Wow. We'll do that again tomorrow, so our high temperatures again running about 10 to 15 degrees above average. And look at this, our sunset at 5:02. Only a few more days, and then the days get longer after the winter solstice, so that's some exciting news as well. Here's our satellite picture tonight. We've had some high cloud cover around. We'll continue with a little bit of the high cirrus clouds overnight. High pressure is here as we go into the foreseeable future, really. And other than some cloud cover skimming by, we're not going to get anything out of those clouds. Overnight, our temperature should be around 29 or 30 degrees here in Salt Lake City. And same with St. George. And tomorrow, nice day in southern Utah. Partly cloudy skies pretty much everywhere. 57 degrees here in St. George tomorrow, and up to 49 degrees in Salt Lake City. So a pretty nice day. Temperatures down south really comfortable, around 60. Wow, a week from today. Christmas Eve, already talking about it. Wow. And temperature tomorrow around 49 here in Salt Lake, and then the haze will start to build at the end of the week. We have a weak system on Sunday, so that should help mix the air a little bit, and then we're back to a little bit cooler weather at the beginning of next week. But overall, it looks pretty sunny around here and pretty dry. We'll be right back.
In national news, police in Madison, Wisconsin still don't know why a 15-year-old girl shot and killed her classmate and a teacher at a private Christian school yesterday before she died by suicide. 6 others were also wounded. Investigators are looking into the shooter's online activity. They are also talking to her family. Court documents indicate the girl's parents are divorced, and she primarily lived with her father. Memorials for the victims are happening throughout the week. Flags will be flown at half-staff until Sunday in Wisconsin. Luigi Maggioni, the man accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson 2 weeks ago, now faces life in prison after being indicted in New York City. Investigators are calling the murder an act of terrorism. Maggioni faces several other charges, such as having an illegal ghost gun. Coming up, we continue to follow breaking news in West Valley City. 5 people in one family found dead in a house. We'll have another live update in just 2 minutes. If you are just joining us, we're following breaking news in West Valley City. 3 children and a mother and father were found dead inside their house today. Police are calling this a case of multiple homicides. This is near 3700 South Oxford Way, not far from Granger High School. Let's go back to Fox 13 News reporter Chris Arnold, live in the neighborhood where he has been speaking with residents, many of whom say they are in shock. Chris.
Well, that's right, Bob. I spoke with one resident who's lived here for more than 50 years and another who just moved in about the past year and a half to 2 years. And both of them using that word shock several times when I spoke with them about what they've been seeing here behind me as police work to figure out why a mother and father and 3 children were found dead inside this home, as well as a 17-year-old boy who was found inside with an apparent gunshot wound. Now, I spoke with 21-year-old Tristan Williams, and he told me he didn't know the family that was impacted, adding that he had never talked to them or seen anyone go in or out of that home. Now, as for this area, Williams says this is normally a quiet street where not much goes on. With 5 people dead, Williams has really just been trying to digest what took place out here.
It's sad, you know, like so many people, so many potential just gone. Like that's unbelievable, you know. That definitely hits a spot in my heart for me, for sure.
Well, Williams says when he got home tonight to the crime scene here, just a stone's throw from where he lives, he wanted to know if he, his girlfriend, and his girlfriend's family would be safe. He said he even asked an officer on scene about that. Now, right now, police did say they don't believe there is a suspect on the loose and that this was an isolated incident at this home. Now, again, police are out here right now. Officers have been canvassing the neighborhood for information as well as any video evidence that may be available. Police are expected to be out here for quite some time and into the morning, working to piece together exactly what took place out here. For now, live in West Valley City, Chris Arnold, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Chris, thank you. Stay with Fox 13 News as we continue to follow this major story. We'll keep you updated on air, on our social media pages, and online at fox13now.com. In more local news tonight, the personal records of all current and former Granite School District students, as well as staff and teachers, were exposed in a security leak back in September. Fox 13 News reporter Maya Constantino spoke to a cybersecurity expert today about what parents can do about it.
In November, the district confirmed that information like bank account routing numbers and social security numbers were accessed from someone outside their system. George Canales, a security operations analyst, tracks hackers day-to-day for work.
I scan pretty bad, especially the fact that they're saying all student data has been impacted. This could definitely have a big impact on a lot of people.
Of the student records that were hacked, 15% contained social security numbers. Student health information and grades were accessed too.
Depending on who has the information and where this information is, threat actors could potentially take this data, like student social security numbers, student records, and use it potentially for fraud or other operations. A lot of bad guys love to use this kind of information to stage future attacks.
The district wrote that an unknown, unauthorized actor gained access to certain computer systems and access files restored on those computer systems. Canales shared what could happen to that personal information.
They could apply, and pretend that they're that student, and obviously, little 5-year-old Melissa isn't going to be applying for a home loan or anything like that, but threat actors could use it to open fraudulent accounts, take out fraudulent loans.
He says there's one thing parents can do.
I would really advise that parents freeze their children's credit. The FTC website actually has information on how you can do that with all 3 major credit agencies.
This is an ongoing investigation. The district says they're reviewing their policies, procedures, and processes to prevent the likelihood of a similar event in the future.
State government should take a look at this and empower our school districts more around cybersecurity.
In Draper, Maya Constantino, Fox 13 News, Utah.
So, how can you protect your information, and what should you do if your data is already out there? Fox 13 News consumer investigative reporter Robin O'Guigne explains.
Earlier this year, I met Raylan Atkinson, who at the time had just been laid off. When she tried to file for unemployment and attempted to get a hold of her W-2, she ran into a bit of a conundrum.
The third page in tells me that I am going to get in trouble if I misrepresent my employers. And I look at the list, there are my 2 employers that are actually the same place. And then there are 3 extra ones that I've never heard of, nor are they where I live. So I took it upon myself to call the top one. The lady on the phone did verify that they are paying somebody under my Social Security number. The place is located in Bountiful. She is not responsible for looking at the taxpayer documents, the place that she does payroll for.
She went to the IRS office to see if she'd find more of the same. She was told there were pages of tax documents with her Social Security number, all from different employers, dating back to 2022. But Raylan is not alone, and many have found themselves the victims of identity theft or their information being used by bad actors. Mass breaches from major companies seem to be happening more frequently, even breaches at smaller employers, which is why you can't let your guard down. Here's CNET's Danny Santana.
When you come across those headlines, often you sort of get like fatigued by it. You kind of just accept it as like the norm. And so you don't think, okay, if my data's out there, so is everyone else's. And that's honestly not the best way to look at it, because there are things you can do to protect yourself. And a lot of these tools are free.
One thing to keep top of mind to prevent nefarious activity:
really consider freezing your credit, because it blocks anyone from opening a new mortgage, car loan, credit card, any line of credit in your name.
And the same should be done after you find out your information has been leaked. Just call all 3 credit bureaus. Something else to think about, and one thing we all are probably guilty of.
But what a lot of people that I know do is we tend to use the same passwords on multiple accounts. While it's convenient, what that does is it leaves you open to credential stuffing, and that's when a hacker gets access to one account and then uses those same login credentials to get into other accounts.
Santana, who you heard from there, also says if having too many complex passwords seems overwhelming or forgettable, a password manager might come in handy. If you ever find out your identity has been stolen, file a report with your local law enforcement stating you are a victim of identity theft. Also, contact the IRS. You'll fill out a Form 14039, then ask for documentation that fraudulent activity has been cleared. Robin Oginye, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Coming up, we introduce you to a cafeteria worker in Manti doing her part to spread holiday cheer in a way that is positively Utah. And there is more wildlife showing up in Zion National Park. Fox 13 News Southern Utah Bureau is looking into it. The animal kingdom is apparently making a comeback in Zion National Park. While many animals are hibernating right now, there were increased black bear sightings last summer. And recently, the first porcupine was spotted after a long absence. A national park biologist says that's even more reason to keep human food away from the animals.
Yeah, we definitely see some overweight animals, and it's just overall not good for their health.
Experts say the increased animal sightings are a positive sign the park's deer, turkeys, and tortoises are enjoying a resurgence. Now to a story that is positively Utah. A cafeteria worker has helped spread holiday cheer while healing from a tragic loss. As Fox 13 News anchor Amy Ney shows us, she's donated more than 400 beanies knit by family and friends to all of the students, teachers, and staff at Manti Elementary.
They're really the heartbeat of our school.
Principal David Ibsen on their fabulous lunch ladies at Manti Elementary and their head lunch lady, Amanda.
She made me cry, and it takes a lot to make me cry, Amy. I'm kind of like a Grinch sometimes.
Amanda sharing her personal story of heartache and a tragic loss.
6 years ago on December 2nd, just a very sudden and unexpected sickness that took him. And he was only 21 months old.
Losing her baby, Ammon, just ahead of the holidays, Amanda was encouraged by her mother-in-law to do something good for others in his name, and she learned to knit beanies for babies at local hospitals.
She taught me how to make them, and I started donating them. And she taught her mom, she's 92 years old now, and she's been making them all this time. And she donates, and then it's just spread from there. These two ladies have join me in making them. Erica right here, her mom has joined us, her daughters, and then we've had a lot of people join us by just donating yarn and money. So it's become a big thing.
Working on this Christmas gift since this time last year and helping make this season that's been tough in the past a little brighter.
Oh yeah, it's so heartwarming and healing. It's great to give back and give in somebody's name. It's been amazing.
She said, well, Mr. Ibsen, I want to donate these hats this year to the students and staff at Manti Elementary School. And I said, Amanda, absolutely, you can do that.
Giving over 400 beanies to the kids who she says she's come to love like her own at a special assembly last week following their Christmas program.
It just erupted with one of the loudest cheers I've ever heard in my life, you know. And the kids, they wear them around everywhere. This hat right here, if you were to come to our school today, you would see dozens of these out at recess in the lunchroom. I mean, it's just amazing to see the impact of one act of kindness.
It's pretty unifying for your student body. It's something they all have, and it's kind of a neat thing.
Oh, it is. It's amazing, Amy. It really is. You know, the community feel that you feel in these small towns, and you know, we love our lunch ladies, and you know, I can't thank her enough, and for everyone else that was involved in this. I mean, it's really just had such a positive impact on all of us.
It's been bigger than I expected it to be. The outpouring love from all the kids and the staff, and it's just been amazing.
And her friends say it's been a gift for them.
I want to thank Amanda for this opportunity to do this. Special project for her little boy.
Amy Nay, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Oh, what a sweet story for sure. And of course, kids out there in Manti gonna need the hats, especially at recess in the morning. It is cold. Temperatures overnight have mainly been in the 20s and 30s. Now this morning here in Salt Lake City, we got down to 36 degrees, but our high got up to 51 degrees. Coming up, we'll take a look at the forecast, including all the way out to Christmas Eve.
We have a new professional sports team in Utah. We'll hear from a couple of local players on Salt Lake Volleyball coming up in sports, plus college basketball. The Aggies put their 10-game winning streak on the line tonight, and the Utes also in action. The highlights are on the way.
Okay, I'm looking at my watch again, Dina, and it says 33 degrees right now. What does it say at the airport?
It was 39 last time we checked at the airport, but who knows where your watch is picking up whichever weather sensor in the area. So
hard to say.
Hard to say, but temperatures are in the 30s.
How cold are we going to get tonight?
Down into the upper 20s to around 30 degrees. So a little colder than it was this morning. So this morning on Tuesday, it was only around 36 because we had some cloud cover. And on Wednesday morning, it'll be a little bit cooler. So we had some high clouds move in tonight, made for a really pretty sunset. So we'll look forward to that tomorrow as well, because we do have some high cloud cover around 39, Bob. That's the airport temperature. 38 here in Ogden and 35 in Provo tonight. So mostly clear skies, but we do have high pressure moving back into the forecast. So that really just means that more mild temperatures, but also it means the return to the inversion, and that will be happening more toward the end of the week. It'll really start building Thursday, Friday, into Saturday. We do have a storm moving in around Christmas Day, but at this point, it doesn't really, look all that great. So not a ton going on with that, but there is a chance for some snow. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, and maybe it'll actually do something. We do have above average temperatures in the forecast. Of course, today's high got up to 51 degrees, way too warm for this late in December. We're in the 30s now for a lot of locations, 27 in Milford and 43 in St. George. Temperatures tonight going to be cool at Bryce Canyon. It'll get down into the teens tonight. So overnight, our low temperature will drop down to around 30 degrees. So not terribly cold, and right about actually on average for those overnight lows, but it will be above average for those daytime high temperatures. Our satellite picture tonight, we just have high pressure around and a few high clouds scooting in, and that's what we'll see again tomorrow. We'll show you the upper level pattern. So when you see this ridge-like shape here, that just means that we have high pressure. That's what we call a big old ridge. And you can kind of see that big bump and that hill-looking like shape, and it just continues throughout the rest of the week. So that means that there's not a lot of really active weather going on. A little bit of a boundary goes through on Sunday, and that should help to mix the air some. so that we'll look forward to. But the air will progressively get worse by the end of the week. We're hoping not as bad as it was just a couple weeks ago. 30 degrees now here in Salt Lake, and 30 in St. George will be our overnight low temperatures. So most places going into the 20s and 30s tonight, and then tomorrow will be at around 50 degrees again for a lot of people. And in southern Utah, nice day, up to 57 in St. George. High temperatures in southern Utah, really nice late December you're having here. Lots of sunshine, highs around 55 to 60, and then on Christmas Eve still looks pretty good. Temperatures in the 50s there. For the Wasatch, there's that haze that starts to move in later in the week. Temperature around 50. Week boundary Sunday cools it off, and Christmas Eve right now does look dry. Temperature around 48, and that is on next Tuesday. So more dry weather just continues on.
After going 10-0 to start the season, which is the best in program history, Utah State put their undefeated record on the line tonight against a very good San Diego team. It was close throughout the game. Mason Falslove, the three-time Mountain West Conference Player of the Week, 3 of his 16 points. Then in the final seconds of the first half, Ian Martinez for 3 at the buzzer. It's good. The Aggies were up 7 at the break. Then in the second half, Martinez to the rim, throws down 2 of his 12 points. The Aggies were up 2, but the Tritons pulled ahead to beat the Aggies 75-73, ending the 10-game winning streak. The Utes were at home against Florida A&M. Mike Sheriff-Jamps was 3-4 from three-point range. He scored 15 points. Utes up 22. Then in the second half, Ezra Asar with the throwdown. He finished with 12 points. Utah up 20. Mason Madsen was feeling it. He made 5 threes and scored 15 points. The Utes won it by 30, 89-59. We have a new professional sports team in Utah with the Salt Lake volleyball team. They're part of an upstart volleyball league in the country. Here's Fox 13's Andrea Urban.
League One Volleyball, pronounced Love, is less than a month away from its first serve of its inaugural season. And Love Salt Lake has a stacked roster with some familiar faces, Utes and Cougars, and this league allows them to play professionally right here in Utah.
It's such an incredible opportunity. I feel so grateful and excited, and it feels very full circle to be back playing at home. Playing overseas, it has a lot of really cool parts to that, you know, but it's also a big sacrifice. You're leaving pretty much everyone and anything that you know. And so to be able to come back and still get to do this as my career, it's just, I don't even have words to express just how seriously stoked I am.
Utah advances!
I look back so fondly on my time at Utah. I'm grateful to be back home and hopefully getting to see Utah fans again at some of our games.
Perry!
It's honestly insane. Me and my husband, I've played overseas for 5 years. He's come with me every season. We've had multiple conversations where I'm like, if we could live at home and like still do this and you could do your job and like have normal life, like can you imagine what that would be like? And then I start getting calls and hearing things about it. And then when we found out there was a team in Salt Lake City, I was like, this feels like a dream. I think that Love's also doing a great job of like integrating this into the youth, and they're seeing women that they can really look up to and strive to be in similar positions to what we're doing.
I really want this to work, and I want this league to really take off. Like I know all of us have the confidence and belief that it can.
With Love Salt Lake, Andrea Urban, Fox 13 Sports, Utah.
Okay, now I get it.
League One Volleyball.
VB. Love. League One Volleyball.
Yeah, they start their season in January, so
that's crazy.
Another sport to follow here. Let's
That's
go.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Jeff. We'll be right back. For those of you up on the East Bench, look out at the valley tonight. Oh, it's gorgeous out there. Wish we could show it to you as we. This is just downtown. Quick Cast is next.